I want to talk Carson Wentz quickly. You know, there was a time when this guy was going to be the big prize on the offseason quarterback sweepstakes. He was going to be the one big-name quarterback on the market. And then suddenly, it was like every other quarterback in the league jumped into that same pool and then lapped him, which is pretty much how his career has gone, right? He looked like the best guy around for a moment, and then everybody else blew right by him. And since then, he's become pretty much forgettable. Another flash in the pan. Never again to be anything like he was. And right now there's so many other quarterbacks on the market, or it could be on the market. And then you've got Wentz himself. So if you believe the rumors, the trade market for Carson Wentz is down to Indianapolis and Chicago. Pretty much the same two teams that have been on him from the very start. And that tells you a lot. Just two teams for a former potential MVP and a guy who looked like he was on the way to becoming one of the best things that ever happened to the city of Philadelphia. A soon-to-be legend, like the guy. So the question then becomes, what the hell happened to the guy? What happened to that guy? Something, obviously, or there wouldn't only be two teams trying to get in on this guy, reportedly. So you've got a possible trade to Indianapolis. That makes sense because it would mean a reunion of Carson Wentz and Frank Reich, the offensive coordinator who got the most out of Wentz. And then you've got speculation that he might be on his way to Chicago, which also would make sense because you'd have a reunion of Wentz and John DeFilippo, the Bears' new passing game coordinator and QB coach. He was the quarterback's coach in Philadelphia when Wentz was killing it. And right now, if you believe the reports, the Bears have the better offer on the table, so Carson Wentz might become a Bear, right? Let's not get into that just yet. Not if Wentz has anything to say about it, apparently. Because there might be one small thing holding up a potential Wentz to Chicago deal. And that small thing is he may not want anything to do with the train wreck that is the Bears. And I don't blame this guy either. A trade to Indy means joining a team with a loaded defense. A trade to Chicago means joining a team with a loaded defense. A trade to Indy means going to a team that is going places. A trade to Chicago means going to a team that's already in the gutter. A trade to Indy means going to one of the most respected GM head coach combos in the league. A trade to Chicago means going to one of the least respected GM head coach combos in the league, and a combo that might be looking for new jobs soon. So if I'm Carson Wentz, I'm going to do whatever I can to stay as far away as I can from Chicago, and from those guys in particular, because the only thing worse than being a quarterback and being sent to Chicago is being a quarterback and being sent to Chicago, and the guys who make the move for you are out of a job a year later. So then you have another head coach and GM coming in and having to decide if you're their guy. And because they weren't the ones that brought you in, you're not their guy. And almost assuredly, they're going to want their own guy. And that's before we get to the entire history of quarterbacks in Chicago. Now, I'm not saying that Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die. But if your name is not the punky QB, Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die. Run down the list of legends who have been under center in that town, and you're going to see some true icons. I'm talking about guys like Jim Miller, Chad Hutchinson, Kyle Orton's neckbeard, Rex Grossman, a.k.a. Gross Rexman. There was even a Peter Tom Willis sighting. Correction, multiple PTW sightings. So if you're Wentz, and you're looking to revive a dying career, I don't think you're looking at what Matt Nagy did with Mitchell Trubisky and thinking that's the guy that I want to hit my career with the paddles with. He's not there to bring you back to life. He's there to dig a shallow grave and push you into it. If you're on life support, and Wentz pretty much is, Nagy is the guy to rip the plug out of the wall. Believe me, Carson Wentz knows all too well just how good Nick Foles can be. And then look at how Foles showed up last year. And a part of the knock on the situation in Philly is the fact that Wentz had absolutely nobody to throw it to. Good luck with that in Chicago. I mean, maybe they can force Allen Robinson to stay around, but after that, good luck turning your career around with the likes of Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller. Honestly, at this point, as bad as he thinks things are in Philadelphia, as bad as it's gotten for Wentz in Philadelphia, it still seems like a better situation to me than the one he'd find in Chicago. So what do you do if you're Carson Wentz? It's not like you've got a ton of leverage here, right? There is a reason he's on the trading block. And the reason is he sucked this year. And he looks like a shot fighter. He's a shell of the guy who was an MVP candidate a minute ago. And it's not like teams are lining up to bring this guy in. The line is exactly too deep. And according to reports, the Colts are not giving the Eagles what they want to get this done. In other words, yes, they're interested, but they're not that interested because Wentz is no longer that guy. Now, follow me on this. Not that I would ever compare Wentz to Tom Brady, but I can compare their situations. Incredibly enough, there really was not that much interest in Tom Brady this past offseason. There wasn't. Reportedly, only 2 teams really had sincere or significant interest in Brady. Difference being, one of those teams was willing to do anything and everything to get that guy and do right by that guy and provide an environment that that guy really wanted to be in. That was Tampa Bay. It worked out brilliantly. This is not the scenario that Wentz is looking at, not even close. And if, in fact, Chicago has a better offer, you know Philadelphia is going to want to take the better offer. They're not going to do well by Wentz and say, you know what, you're a great guy, and you meant a lot to us. And we wouldn't have won that championship without you. Therefore, we will take less to accommodate you because you're you. Hell no. If Chicago's got a better offer, they're going with Chicago. Which means if Wentz really does not want to go to Chicago, and reportedly he doesn't, he's got to go nuclear. He has to threaten that he will not show up to camp. He has to threaten that he will not play for the Bears at all. Of course, there's no way that's going to happen, right? What, that guy's going to follow through on that? There's no way he's going to retire instead of playing for the Bears. But I wouldn't blame him if he did. This guy's got to make it so toxic. He has to scare the Bears off. He has to make it so risky that there's no way they'd actually send something of value back to Philadelphia. In other words, put it in their head. I don't want to be there. This guy's going to find the highest rooftop that he can and start screaming, hell no, I will not go. Hell no, I will not go. I hate these guys. I'm already dying here. I'm not showing up in Chicago so they can finish me off. Don't trade me there. I don't want to be there. I hate it there. And no, I don't want to hear your plan for me either. All I need to do is turn on the tape, and I know exactly what your plan is. That'll tell me everything I know. In short, Wentz has got to be like, man, I'm talking about my career or what's left of my career. And I know what's going to happen if I do go to Chicago. I'm going to end up like Craig Krenzel or Caleb Haney. And I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not saying that some of this isn't on Wentz. And I'm not saying that I appreciate the way he's handled everything of late. What I am saying is, if he wants to salvage what's left of his career, Chicago is the last place that he should be looking to do it. And he already knows that. He doesn't need me to tell him that.